Ever wonder why chickens never pay rent? Because they always have outstanding bills. Now, that might seem like a bit of a stretch, but let's dive into the world of our feathered friends and have a peck at this intriguing question. Picture this. You're a chicken, strutting around the barnyard, pecking at the ground, clucking to your heart's content. Life's good, right? But wait, what about rent? Do chickens have a concept of property rights, mortgages, or leasing contracts? Well, of course not. Chickens, like most animals, don't operate on the same principles of ownership as we do. For them, it's all about territory. A chicken's home is where it feels safe, where it can find food, and where it can roost. So, in a sense, you could say that chickens pay their rent by maintaining their territory, keeping it safe from predators and other chickens. But don't try explaining that to your landlord. You see, chickens have a social structure known as the pecking order. It's not about who's got the biggest coop or the most corn, it's about who's the toughest bird in the flock. That's their version of paying rent. They earn their keep by asserting their dominance and securing their place in the flock. But let's not forget, chickens are also a source of food, both in terms of their meat and the eggs they lay. So in a way, chickens do pay their dues, just not in the way we humans understand it. They contribute to the barnyard economy, not with money but with valuable resources. So, while it might be amusing to imagine a chicken pulling out a tiny wallet to pay its rent, the reality is a little different. Chickens, like all animals, have their own unique ways of contributing to their environment. And remember, they're not just freeloading birds. They're hardworking members of the barnyard community. So next time you see a chicken, remember it's probably evading its landlord. Did you hear about the fish who couldn't keep a secret? He always spilled the beans, or should I say, the seaweed. Meet Bubbles, a cheerful little goldfish with a big personality, and a bigger problem. Bubbles, you see, was a blabbermouth. He just couldn't keep a secret. If you told Bubbles something in confidence, you could bet your last sand dollar that by the end of the day, the entire ocean would know about it. Let me tell you about the time when Sammy the seahorse asked Bubbles to keep a secret. Sammy had found a treasure chest at the bottom of the sea, filled to the brim with glittering pearls. He shared his secret with Bubbles, making him promise not to tell a soul. Bubbles agreed, but true to form, he was soon bubbling over with the secret. Like a game of Chinese whispers underwater, the news spread fast. From the sassy starfish to the grumpy grouper, everyone knew about Sammy's hidden treasure. Before long, a parade of underwater creatures was making its way to the treasure chest, eager to get a glimpse of the shiny pearls. When Sammy found out, he was flabbergasted. He confronted Bubbles, who was swimming in circles, looking guiltier than a catfish caught in a net. Bubbles tried to apologize, but the damage was done. The secret was out, and Sammy's treasure was no longer a secret. But here's the thing about Bubbles. Despite his inability to keep a secret, everyone loved him. He was the life of the party, always making everyone laugh with his fishy puns and bubbly personality. Sure, he couldn't keep a secret to save his life, but he was honest, kind, and always there for his friends. So the next time you have a secret, think twice before telling it to a fish, especially if that fish is Bubbles. Because, as we've learned, fish, particularly the talkative kind like Bubbles, make terrible secret keepers. And that's why, my friends, fish make terrible secret keepers. So, a donkey walks into a job interview. Now I know what you're thinking. A donkey in a job interview? But stick with me, folks. This is not just any donkey. This is a donkey with a dream. A dream of breaking free from the farm life and stepping into the corporate world. So our ambitious donkey, let's call him Dapper Donkey, finds himself sitting across the table from a stern-looking hiring manager. The manager raises an eyebrow. "You're a donkey," he says, stating the obvious. Dapper Donkey nods. "Yes, but I'm a donkey who's eager to learn and contribute to your team." The manager, though taken aback, proceeds with the interview. He asks Dapper Donkey about his previous job experience. "Well," Dapper Donkey starts, "I've done my fair share of heavy lifting and I'm known for my strong work ethic. I may not be the quickest, but I always get the job done." Then comes the question about his skills. Dapper Donkey, with a twinkle in his eye, says, "I'm great at kicking up new ideas and I can carry a heavy workload. Plus, my brain can be quite motivational during those long, drawn-out meetings." And you know what? Despite the manager's initial skepticism, Dapper Donkey's enthusiasm starts to rub off on him. He finds himself chuckling at the donkey's puns and admiring his resilience. But then, the manager throws a curveball. "And how do you plan on using the coffee machine?" he asks. Dapper Donkey pauses. He hadn't thought of that. He thinks about his hooves, not exactly designed for delicate tasks like pouring coffee or typing emails. And so, despite his best efforts, Dapper Donkey comes to a realization. The corporate world might not be cut out for him after all. But don't worry, folks. Dapper Donkey isn't one to be easily discouraged. He's already thinking about his next endeavor, perhaps a career in motivational speaking. And that's why you never see a donkey in a suit and tie. Ever hear about the frog that couldn't jump? Let's just say his career as a basketball player didn't pan out. Meet Fred, the frog. He was a bit of an oddball in the amphibian world because unlike his web-footed relatives, he simply couldn't jump. Now you might think, what's a frog without a leap? And you'd be right. It was a bit of a conundrum for poor Fred. Fred had dreams, big dreams. He wanted to be a star, not just any star, but a basketball star. He was inspired by the greats, the legends who seemed to fly across the court, defying gravity with their spectacular dunks. He yearned for the thrill of the game, the roar of the crowd, and the sweet taste of victory. But there was one tiny hiccup. Fred couldn't jump. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get his little green body off the ground. His friends ribbited with laughter as they watched him struggle. But our friend Fred, he was not one to back down. He decided to take a different approach. If he couldn't jump, he would make up for it in other ways. He started training, dribbling the ball with his tiny hands, and running drills. He even got a little hoop and practiced his shots. He was determined to prove everyone wrong, and the day finally came. Fred was in a game against the toughest team in the pond, the Jumping Jacks. The game was tough, the Jacks were leaping high, grabbing every chance they got. But Fred, he held his ground. He dribbled, he passed, he shot, and to everyone's surprise, he scored. In the end, it wasn't about the height of the jump, but the strength of the spirit. Fred may not have been able to jump, but he showed everyone that with determination and hard work, even a frog can score in a game of basketball. So remember, not all frogs are cut out for the NBA. So what did the tomato say to the carrot at the end of the party? This is how we're wrapping up today, folks. With a chuckle, a giggle, perhaps even a full-on belly laugh. With the stories we've shared, we've journeyed through the animal kingdom, from chickens to fish, donkeys to frogs, and now we find ourselves in the world of vegetables. But before we dive into that punchline, let's take a quick stroll down memory lane. Remember our chicken friend who never paid rent? That story wasn't just a silly anecdote, it was a reminder that sometimes life's absurdities are what make it so enjoyable. And then, there was the fish who couldn't keep a secret. A charming tale that reminded us of the importance of trust and discretion. And who could forget about the donkey's new job? That story had us all laughing, but it also served as a reminder that change, while sometimes daunting, can lead to exciting new opportunities and adventures. And of course, the frog that couldn't jump, a tale that teaches us that it's okay to be different, and that our unique qualities are what make us special. Now back to our joke, the tomato and the carrot, two partygoers, each with their own stories to tell, their own jokes to crack. The night is winding down, the music is fading, and it's time to say goodbye. So, what does the tomato say to the carrot? Well, it's the same thing we're saying to you now, as we wrap up this lighthearted journey through humor and life's simple pleasures. The tomato turns to the carrot, gives a little wave, and says, "Catch up later, I've got to split." That's all for now, folks. But remember, life is full of funny stories if you just know where to look.